Part 5. The investigation police began their inquiry within hours of the discovery. According to the official case log, officers entered the Johnson residence at 9:42 a.m. on June 13, 1959. They photographed every room, bagged several items for evidence, and canvassed the neighborhood for witnesses. What they found raised more questions than it answered. On the kitchen table sat a handwritten note. At first glance, it appeared to be a grocery list, but investigators quickly realized several of the items were nonsensical: sugar, milk, and bread, followed by mirror, shadow, and open door. When forensic experts examined the note, they confirmed it was written in Harold Johnson's hand. But why would an ordinary man create a shopping list that contained words resembling metaphors or warnings? Upstairs in Susan's room, police discovered a diary. Its last entry, written in careful childlike handwriting, read, "Mum says we might have to go away soon. But I don't want to leave. I think the man in the hat is waiting for us." The man in the hat. That phrase would resurface again and again in the witness testimonies. Several neighbors independently described seeing a tall figure wearing a dark hat and long coat, loitering near the Johnsons' home in the days before the disappearance. Yet when sketches were drawn, no one could agree on the man's facial features. Some said his face was obscured. Others swore they could not remember it at all. And then there were the photographs. A roll of undeveloped film was found in Harold's desk drawer. When processed, the images revealed blurred shots of the Johnson family at home, perfectly ordinary at first. But the final frame showed something unusual. Through the living room window, a faint silhouette of a man could be seen watching from outside. Part 6. The missing evidence. According to official records, portions of the Johnson case file vanished in the years following the disappearance. Entire boxes of documents were reported misplaced or reassigned. When journalists attempted to access them decades later, they were told the files no longer existed. But fragments that survived paint a troubling picture. A police memo dated June 20, 1959, describes unidentified fingerprints on the Johnsons' back door. They did not match any family member. They were later classified as non-essential and removed from the file. Another surviving note references federal involvement. Witnesses claimed men in unmarked cars began appearing in town within days of the disappearance. These men visited the police station, requested access to the evidence, and left without explanation. One retired officer, interviewed years later, stated plainly, "We were told to stop asking questions. This wasn't ours anymore. They shut it down." Just like that. To this day, no official federal report about the Johnson case has ever been released. Part 7. Conspiracy and Theories. When evidence disappears, theories multiply. And in the case of the Johnson family, the theories were as unsettling as they were varied. Some believed the Johnsons were victims of a targeted abduction. The late-night visitors, the black car, the missing neighbors across the street, all suggested covert surveillance, possibly even intelligence involvement. According to this theory, Harold Johnson may have stumbled upon sensitive information through his accounting firm, information that sealed his family's fate. Others pointed to the diary entry and the mysterious man in the hat. Could the Johnsons have been stalked not by agents, but by something older, stranger, beyond the reach of official explanation? Folklore in the region had long spoken of a hat man, a shadow figure said to appear before tragedies. The resemblance was uncanny, and then there were those who believed the Johnsons never disappeared at all, at least not in the physical sense. Instead, they proposed the family had been part of an experimental program, removed quietly and relocated under new identities. If true, it would explain the erased files, the federal interference, and the eerie silence that followed. Part 8. Haunting Aftermath. For the town itself, the disappearance left scars that never healed. Neighbors avoided the Johnson house, which stood abandoned for months before being quietly sold. Children dared one another to run to the porch, but none stayed long. People swore they heard voices inside, laughter, footsteps, the bark of a dog that was no longer there. Even decades later, residents reported unsettling phenomena: lights flickering in the empty house, curtains moving when no one lived inside. A man in a dark hat seen standing at the edge of the yard, watching silently. By the 1980s, the Johnson house had been demolished. A vacant lot remains in its place today. And yet some claim the air there still feels heavy, as if time itself remembers what occurred. Part 9. The final question. According to official records, the Johnson family remains missing. No bodies were ever found, no confirmed sightings were reported. Their names are etched into databases of the disappeared, but the file is marked inactive, yet the story refuses to die. Each strange detail, each missing document, each contradictory account keeps the case alive in whispers and speculation. And so the final question lingers. Did the Johnsons fall victim to human hands, secretive, organized, deliberate, or to something more inexplicable, something that defies the boundaries of fact and folklore alike? Some believe the truth was buried forever. Others claim the Johnsons are still out there, hidden under new names, waiting for the world to forget. And a few insist that if you stand on Maple Street at night, you might still see them, faces in the darkened windows, watching, waiting.